Good morning and welcome to this creative painting class. My name is Gideon. I'm also known as Gideon's Light, and I will be your creatively fit coach. Today in this painting lesson, I'm going to help you to see in the dark. I've listed all the supplies that you will need to paint along with me in the description of this video. So check it out and make sure that you've got everything at hand that you need to paint along with me. I will see you at the canvas. This online offering is based on our very popular and successful Painting in the Park in-person workshop series that we are currently running in the Botanical Gardens in Pretoria of South Africa. It is so popular that people have asked me from all over the world to make sure that I do an online offering of the exact same workshop. This beautiful owl is the one that I created in the park during our recent event. And this is what I'm going to be guiding you to paint as well today. It might look a bit different, and I know that yours will also look completely different, but that is the whole idea. So people ask me, what is creatively fit coaching all about? There's a big misunderstanding that, we're doing a classic painting class in the park or in our workshops. And I have to spend a little bit of time just to clarify that yes, there is paint involved and there's a canvas involved, there are brushes involved. But a creative coaching class is all about facing your limiting beliefs at the canvas and using this therapeutic art process that is divided up into 4 layers, with each layer representing metaphorically an area of your life. We approach your problems, your challenges, your difficulties and limiting beliefs at the canvas with paint and with a playful attitude, and we claim our power back from these situations that we normally think of as overpowering and too strong in our lives. So I just have to clarify, there's a lot of questions about what creative coaching really is. Creative coaching is a form of life coaching that helps people develop their creative skills and work through any barriers holding them back in their life. The canvas serves as the metaphor that will help you to identify limiting beliefs and your attitudes that is counterproductive to achieving your highest goals and ideals. Although painting is involved, no previous art experience or skills are required to participate in this class or to benefit from the insight that can be gained through this experiential personal growth journey. I think so many times in the West we focus on product, and art is supposed to have a monetary value. If it's not good enough to be hung in a gallery or to frame it or to sell it for money, then it's not considered art. It is considered a waste of time. It is considered childish. A creative coach is here to help you to discover that a creative practice is focusing on the process of creation. It is all about the insight that can be gained during that process, and it is all about empowerment. So the way that we go about this creative coaching process is that we usually like to work with one or other type of symbolism. When we switch from our left brain, which is very logic and data orientated, over into our right brain, which is all about color, symbol, texture, and all of our senses, we begin to experience and explore the world through a different lens. So when we talk about and use a symbol, and in this case we're going to be using the owl as our symbol, we begin to dive into that rabbit hole, so to speak, and we begin to explore elements that this symbol brings forward into our experience for us. For example, if we think of an owl in its natural environment, We understand that it makes use of stealth technology to hunt its prey. The second thing about the owl is that we know that it's a very effective hunter at night. And this is where I make the connection of I can see in the dark. The metaphor here for me is that like the owl sees and hunts its prey very effectively at night, if you use that same metaphor in your life, you can look at some of the rodents that tend to steal your joy, your happiness, your harmony, your abundance, that we are maybe not consciously aware of, or we don't necessarily know what to do about it. So we give our power away to it. And when we stand in the power and the wisdom and awareness of the owl within ourselves symbolically, we can really look at these little things in our lives as our prey and really begin to snatch it up and deal with it through awareness and presence. So you can begin to see how I use symbolism in this coaching process to help you, the participant, to raise above your situation, to become aware of your challenges in a whole new way. And when we are aware of our limiting beliefs and our attitudes that are counterproductive to our highest goals and ideals in our lives, we can claim our power back from it. And there is the life coaching and the empowerment that happens at the canvas. So you can see that it is not so much about the end product. Some participants leave this entire workshop with something sort of representing an owl. But they found such joy and insight during the whole process that that is absolutely not the point of having a completed picture at the end. For others that are more accustomed to this process and who maybe is actively participating on a regular basis, some skill sets do become part of your experience, and beautiful art can be created using this 4-layer painting made easy method that I will be showing you today. So with each of my classes, we delve into a different symbol, and with each of those symbols, we look at another aspect of our lives. But really, the recipe remains the same to some degree. We look at limiting beliefs and unhelpful attitudes that hold us back from achieving and living a beautiful and effective life. Right, we are all set up. I've got my clean canvas here. I decided to start on a brand new canvas for you so that you can have the same experience along with me. So for this very first layer, and we're going to be dealing with 4 main layers during this workshop, we are going to explore some of our limiting beliefs and experiences and attitudes that is preventing us from living life to the fullest. This first layer of this journey is all about breaking in the canvas, but we are allowing this blank canvas to confront us, so to speak, with our lives. So when you stand or sit in front of your blank canvas, I want you to just stare at this blank white open space for a few minutes and really ask yourself, what is this blank potential communicating to you? If your canvas represents metaphorically your life, and when we come into this world, we are literally given a blank canvas, so to speak. There is infinite possibilities available to us every day. But we tend to go narrow, and we put our little clamps on our eyes and we focus on a single thing. And I really think a way to describe this better is when we really draw something up close and we are this close to the canvas and we are really zoomed in to a lot of detail. I think we sometimes lose perspective. So I think it's good to step away from the canvas from time to time and zoom out, because in our lives we are so bogged down with detail, with information, and in this particular place that we are right now, that we lose perspective. So it might be a good idea to jump on the eagle's back, or to jump on the owl's back for that matter, and soar higher and get a different perspective. You can imagine if the owl flies above, the farm where it stays, or the forest floor. It needs that height to get some perspective and to maybe see where the movement is, where you can zoom in and get the prey. So I want you to use your blank canvas today as a way to confront you with all of the possibilities that you are maybe ignoring in your life. So if you can compare the rodents and the prey of the owl, which can be snakes, rats, any of those little critters on the ground, if you can symbolically, metaphorically compare some of the problems and challenges, difficulties, attitudes, and limiting beliefs that you have at the core of yourself to some of these little preyful animals, what would that be? What are the things that keep you up at night? Those things that you are worrying about, that is robbing you of your joy. What are the dramas that is consuming your life at this present moment to such a degree that you are giving your power away to it, and you feel like you are playing a victim, or you feel like a doormat? What other situations is so overwhelming for you right now that you feel that there is no escape, no way forward, and that is constantly on your mind, draining your energy? These are the things that is robbing us of our happiness, and sometimes our behaviors that is robbing us of our own abundance when we focus in on lack and limitation. So I want you to spend a few minutes at the canvas now and really just zoom into maybe 3 or 4 of those attitudes, situations, limiting beliefs, or experiences that you feel is robbing you of your joy and happiness and living a life to its full potential. And I want you to take just a brush, a pointed brush like this. And I like to take a little bit of a cup and put some paint in there, and I like to dilute it with a little bit of water. I call that improving the fluidity of the paint. And then I want you to dip your brush into your paint, and I want you to go to your blank canvas and make note of those things that is not working for you. So I'm going to dive right in here and call forth one of my limiting beliefs. Fear of losing it all. That's one of my limiting beliefs. Let's call another one. Lack. Not enough. Losing control. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just really using the canvas now as a space to zoom in to those particular things that I feel is not helpful for me at the present moment, that I would like to dive into during this particular session. So go ahead and do the same on your canvas, and I'll speak to you again soon. Right, now that we've written some of our limiting beliefs, our difficult attitudes or challenging situations that we are currently dealing with in our lives onto the blank canvas, it should look something like this. Now, the blank canvas is confrontational, like I said to you before, and that is a good idea, that's a good thing. Simply because it is not a person that is standing there in front of you, confronting you with a lot of questions about your life that is sometimes very difficult to answer. In traditional life coaching, I find that you are handed a bunch of questions and about your life, and it can be very confrontational and very uncomfortable to answer, especially if you're not used to being completely honest with yourself. And let's face it, all of us feel like a failure at some stage in our lives, and we feel like some part of what we are doing should be better, could be better, must be better, and all of these things that we place on ourselves places us under a lot of pressure to perform and to have some kind of life that you can compare with what we think should be. Living life like the Joneses, or whatever the case, that's a lot of pressure to put yourself under, right? So when we do this breaking in of a canvas and we label these things that trip us up, that keep us awake at night, that freaks us out, that robs us of our energy, of our joy, of our power, it can be a little bit daunting, and it's quite an experience and a moment when you write it on a blank canvas with paint, of all things. It feels so permanent, right? But fear not, there is a process and there is definitely a journey ahead. So as we continue with this first layer, we're going to now switch over to a different mindset. I want you to take one of these limiting beliefs or attitudes or situations that you feel comfortable enough to deal with today, and make that your focus for today's exercise. And you can repeat this exercise for all of these limiting beliefs and ideas and attitudes, situations that you have mentioned on your canvas. But take one so that this is not an overwhelming process. So as we continue, I want you to take your canvas and make sure that it is completely dry. This is one of the things of the 4-layer technique that I'll be teaching you today, that you must understand. When you move into a follow-up layer, it is very important that the underneath layer be completely dry. This is one of the joys and advantages of working with acrylic paint, is that whatever is dry on the underneath, you can paint another layer on top of that. So this is why we say no previous art skills or techniques is required, because the medium that we are working with is very forgiving if you just allow yourself to play at the canvas. Right. So for the next stage of our process, and we are still dealing with layer number 1, I want to take your canvas and I want you to completely flip it on its head, like so. So this does two things for you. Number one, it confuses the left brain a little bit. The left brain wants to make sense of everything. It wants to understand everything, and it wants to label everything. So when we flip things on its head, the left brain gets confused and it shuts down for a little bit. And the right brain, which is where we want to work today, is able to just continue being in flow, spark new ideas, so that this brainstorm that we are now going to explore at the canvas is able to flow a little bit better, because, you know, upside down letters is a little bit confusing to the left brain. So we're literally taking those limiting beliefs, those wrong attitudes, and those drama-filled situations, and we're turning it on its head, because right now we're going to claim our power back from it. And how do we do that? We tell a different story. So if we take that one limiting belief that we are dealing with today, in my case, I'm going to take the one where I said I have a fear of losing everything. So let's take that very, very powerful limiting belief and turn it on its head. And if we take the word fear out and we shift over into the vibration of love, of possibility, and of faith, and of understanding that anything is possible, there is infinite possibilities open to you, then fear loses its strength, its power, its gripping and throttling kind of effect on us. There is a saying that there is only an essential two emotional vibrations: fear and love. And whatever you do in your life, if you want to know if you are in a vibration of fear or in a vibration of love, is just really rise above it and look at it from a different perspective and see what the effect of it is. Because fear is closing in. Fear separates you, so it is you versus the world. Fear is very limiting. Fear tells you that there are no options, that this is the end. Fear makes you freeze up. Fear holds you away from asking for help. So you can see that fear is very constricting, it's very separating, and it's very closed up. It is very dark. Let's look at the opposite vibration of love. Love is all-inclusive. Love sees all possibilities. Love covers all things. Love realizes that we are functioning as one family. So it swallows its pride and it asks for help. Miracles happen when we stand in a vibration of love. So whenever I'm confronted with a difficult situation, a choice to be made, or new information that I'm not sure I know how I feel about it, I always dive down to the core of it and ask the question, is it fear or is it love? Because if it's fear, I know that it's not for me. It is not helpful, it is not supportive of my journey, and it won't help me to get to where I need to be. If it's love, I know that I will resonate with it. I understand that it is supportive and that it is inclusive, and it will help me as a positive effect in my life. So this is exactly what we're doing during the next step of our process. We're going to take that limiting belief of I have a fear of losing everything and change it around by writing a new story around it. We're going to use different words, so to speak. So this is where I like to create what I call a positive affirmation. A positive affirmation is willfully reconstructing the sentence, the story that we are telling by using positive words. And we're also constructing this sentence or this mantra, so to speak, in the present moment. I find that a lot of people are either dealing with the past and they are lingering to go back, and that can give us feelings of depression and sadness, or people project their energy towards the future and they are constantly rushing ahead of themselves, and that can cause a lot of anxiety. So those emotions can be a red flag to tell you that you are not present. So when we create a positive affirmation, make sure that it is stated in the present moment, here and now. It is already in your life. You're not waiting for it to show up. So I'm going to use the limiting belief, I have a fear of losing everything, and we're going to use a positive affirmation to rewrite that sentence. Let's go to the canvas and be creative with that. So I have another little bit of my diluted pots of color, and this time I suggest you use a color that's one of your favorites. And one of my favorite colors is turquoise. So again, I've added some of my color to the pot and I've added some water. So it must have a bit of an ink-like consistency. You can see it can drip. There we go. So this just improves the fluidity of the paint so that when you are trying to write on the canvas, that the paint flows like ink. So it's not thick and difficult to write, because I want this to be a smooth and an encouraging experience, not a frustrating one. So underneath here in this beautiful lavender color, I've written, I have a fear of losing everything. So let's use positive words, and let's start with I am. When we start a sentence with I am, that is very powerful. That is a sure way to claim your power back from whatever situation you are facing. I'm just thinking now of words that would counteract that limiting belief of losing everything. So if we zoom into that and we explore what that really feels like, what it really represents, is there's a lack of security, right? So what would make me feel more secure is to state that I am secure. I am secure. Protected. Safe. And blessed. I am secure, protected, safe, and blessed. Isn't that beautiful? That's so simple. So we are choosing words and energies in those words that is in love, that is in the vibration of love, and that is in a positive mindset, a positive energy that will counteract that nagging fear, that worry or concern or problem that is robbing you of your joy. So literally rewriting it into a positive statement in the present moment, from I have a fear of losing everything, I now tell a different story. I am secure, protected, safe, and blessed. So every time I feel that feeling of I'm scared of losing everything, I choose again because now I've created a marker in my mind. So my right brain will say, here's a marker. You have chosen a different mindset, a different attitude, and you are slipping back into the old mindset that is holding you in fear and limitation. So this will happen, and that's quite normal. So when that shows up in your life going forward, you stop, take a breath, and choose again. You take your power back in that moment and you say, no, I chose differently. I know that I am secure, protected, safe, and blessed. And you repeat that like a mantra. So what happens is you are creating a new pathway in your brain. There is neurons firing. You're creating a new pathway that circumvents that automatic short route default belief system that you have supported for so long in your life. And you are creating a new pathway in your brain that by repeating it and by enforcing it and by practicing it, that old limiting belief becomes dormant and it is no longer used, like an old road. And the new highway that you've created with a positive affirmation that you continue to practice becomes your new default. So you can see how this totally changes your experience going forward. At this moment, I like to explain to people that your imagination is like the painting, the artist of your life. We spend so much time using the faculty of our imagination to catastrophize, to paint a dark picture of doom and gloom. I challenge you today to use that very faculty in a positive way, to choose a different reality, to use the faculty of your imagination to paint the future that you want to have, but to paint it in a way that it's already here. It takes the same amount of energy and effort to do it in a positive way than if you would do it in a dark way. And then the next thing is to choose your words carefully, because it doesn't matter what belief system or religious faith system you subscribe to, they all teach us that our words have power. Science has proven that because we speak, we create sound waves. And positive words have a deeper frequency, whereas negative words is more choppy and hard. So using positive words to describe your positive imagination, your positive mindset, is a way of, I compare it to brush strokes at the canvas. And by repeating these brush strokes, you begin to form a picture. Can you see how this process is going to become a complete metaphor for your life? So be mindful of the words that you use. Speak carefully words of empowerment over your life and in your situation, and you will begin to manifest exactly that. So it begins in the mind, being in alignment with your heart and your emotions. That helps to begin there. And then to choose words that support that picture that you now are choosing to paint with your mind and your imagination. And then the follow-up on that is to begin to take the actions that supports the words and the vision that you have for your life. And when you begin to take the positive action, then things start to fall into place. And that is exactly where the coaching shows you at the canvas how this whole process could be manifesting in your life. I sometimes think that life coaching and dealing with goals and vision for our future can be very abstract, and it is very hard for most people to translate that idea into reality because we don't know how to make that connection. That is something that you've never been taught at school. So don't feel bad if you're one of those that feel you might have an idea about your future or your life or your goal, but you don't quite know how to get there. Because come Monday, it is easier to just fall back into the rat race and climb back on the hamster wheel, the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And then by week's end, you've done nothing as far as action steps is concerned to make your dreams and your goals become a reality, because all you've been doing is just fall into old habits, right? So this process brings that awareness into your life so that you know that from this moment going forward, you need to make small action steps every day in order to make your vision a reality in your life. And it begins with your vision, your imagination, the words of your mouth as power statements, and then we'll follow this through with our process at the canvas. So take a moment now, use your favorite color, and I want you to fill your canvas with words of power, words of affirmation that you feel is supporting you with this one particular thing that you choose to deal with. So let's do that right now. So just continue to write words of power. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't even have to be spelled correctly. It can be very creative. So I'm going to write down. I have more than enough. So think of this as graffiti art. I am joyful. I'm abandoned. I just keep repeating my mantra. I am blessed. I'm secure. I'm supported. I'm successful. I'm loved. I'm enough. I'm surrounded by miracles. I am standing in flow. Joy, happiness, love. So I keep choosing the vibrations of love, and I completely cover the issues that I've written on my first layer with these positive words of affirmation. I might even switch over and make little hearts everywhere as a symbol of healing, as a symbol of hope, as a symbol of totally transforming these limiting beliefs that is on the underneath. In a way, I'm putting a cage of love over them so that they are no longer able to rob me of my joy, of my abundance, of my prosperity in my life. I'm completely surrounding it with the energy and vibration of love. So you can see now how we've done our first break in at the canvas with the lavender color in my case, where I declared some of the challenging mindsets that I'm facing, turned it upside down and came in with a positive affirmation with words of power that works in the opposite to that limiting belief, and how I used a simple symbol like that of a heart shape to completely cover that limiting belief, encapsulating it with a layer and a color that I absolutely love. So I want you to do that and then allow this layer to completely dry, and then we will meet you at the canvas again as we go into our next phase of our painting.